Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Esports Analysis. In this one, we have a big-time matchup as Scump, Formal Envoy Arcides, and Gunless from the Chicago Huntsmen face off with the BZ Celia Major Maniac Priesta and SIMP from the Atlanta Faze. As we go ahead and hop into this one, you'll notice in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, there's a mini-map, and we're on the first hardpoint right now. So if you're looking at spawns, where Scump is spawning and the rest of Chicago are spawning right now, this is the bad side. So you want to try to flip this as quickly as you can so that as you get into the second hardpoint, you have spawns and you can max out the vast majority of those points. While I've noted a time or two before that these middle hardpoints, so this first hardpoint here is mainly scrap time, Chicago does a really nice job here in picking up a lot of kills right around this hardpoint. If not for anything else, they're not building up points, but you are gaining confidence. So like Seth, when he got that three-piece there on mid-hill, he might not have got a lot of points from it, but he is able to build up confidence. And I think that's a big thing right now for Chicago. When you watch them play Dallas and some of these top teams, especially here like Atlanta, they're kind of known for having really good SMGs and SIMP and a BZ and stuff like that. I think confidence is a big thing. So getting a 3 or 4 piece on that middle hill, though, I think that's really important. We might have gotten a little bit out of control talking about that. So as we hop back into the gameplay, you can see that Seth's going to climb this ladder and get the person that's holding down spawns here for Atlanta. And if you look at the minimap in the bottom right hand corner, they now have spawn set up and they have control of the hard point. So right now the lead's only 7 or 8 points, but you're going to see that since they have hard point and they have spawns, everything is going their way. So they're perfectly set up to go ahead and max out this 60 seconds here in this back munition depot hardpoint. One thing that I do want to point out is that originally they didn't have this spawn. So once Seth got that 3-4 different kills on that middle hardpoint, he spawned over towards Cole and he was able to hit that left flank. So not only was he able to hit that left flank, but Chicago went ahead and they pushed up on the right side also. I know that one was kind of lost a little bit, but they pushed out both sides and they were really successful in breaking this hardpoint. This is one that can be really tough to break, especially if you don't initially spawn on this side. So great job out of them. This is the stuff that, again, gives you confidence as you head back towards the third hard point. As we go ahead and get ready to rotate into this third hard point, you're not going to be able to see really what's happening here because Seth was back picking up the rest of those points. But essentially right now, Chicago is pushed up into the hard point and they are able to secure a couple kills while they're up there. If you notice in the minimap in the bottom right hand corner, I went ahead and I removed the beneficial spawn. And the reason being is that for this hard point, if you're the one in hill and you're pushed up a little bit past where the hill is, so if you're in those choke points that are just a little bit further than where the actual hill is, that's how you go ahead and you maximize the 60 points for this hard point in particular. So again, it just, the spawns for this one don't really matter all that much because if you're spawning coal or you're spawning warehouse, you're about the same distance away from this hard point. Most people like to be in warehouse, so the opposite spawn of what Chicago has right now. And if I had to pick one, that's probably the one that I would pick. But again, it doesn't matter. Look at the hill right now. The last 10 seconds or so has been going to Chicago because once you get kills in hard point and once you're able to push up into that choke point that's by warehouse just a little bit beyond that, then you can go ahead and you can get the vast majority of those points. As we go ahead and advance through the map a little bit, we're going to go ahead and we're going to push into that fourth hard point. So again, mini map in the bottom right hand corner, you want to have warehouse spawns. So right now Chicago doesn't have the spawns that you want, but they're doing a nice job of holding down some of these points in hill. This fourth hard point is a lot like the first hard point. So if you've watched me cover this map before, again, the first and the fourth hard point, they're not really that critical in terms of trying to max out the 60 seconds for this hard point. If you can get 15 or 20, that's great, but most of the time this is such a central location that you're not able to really rack up the points on this hard point in specific. As Seth goes ahead and comes off spawn here, you're going to catch a really clear glimpse of it. You're going to see Formal, and right there is Gunless. So Gunless went ahead and he was able to wrap around, and now as we get ready to transfer into that fifth hill, the fifth hill is back in the warehouse, and that's a really beneficial hill. The fifth and the second hills are huge in terms of flipping spawns so that you have spawn control so that you can maximize. Those are 2 hills where you can maximize all 60 of those points. So as we go ahead and rotate here in the next few seconds, you're going to see all the blue arrows on Scump's minimap are back here in the warehouse area, and that's really good. This is really clutch towards them ended up winning this map in the end. One thing that I do want to point out is that when this hill started, Chicago had about a 30-point lead, and when they leave this hill, they're going to leave with about a 70-point lead. So this, again, if you're talking about the 2 main hard points on this map, the second and the fifth, in this first rotation, Chicago went ahead and they won both of them. So the second one, they were able to flip spawns off the break, and the fifth one, Gunless was able to flip spawns and get in the back, which caused the rest of his team to get there, and that's why they're able to build out this lead that they have right now, and they're able to maximize points back into this 5th hard point. Now, as we go ahead and we get back to our second round of rotations here, this is about to go back to the first hard point. Before we get into a listen in, I just want to point out real quick that in this first round, Seth, Gunless, Envoy, the SMGs here for Chicago have absolutely won that first round. And that's a big part that plays into who's going to end up winning this game in the end. So as we go ahead and hop into a listen in here, and let's just keep that in the back of our mind. Pay attention to what's happening with the SMGs on both sides, because again, that's super important as we move forward.
Oil, one shot. This guy's. Wow.
In map.
Left.
I'll cut right, I'll cut right, Alec. I'll cut right.
Close right.
One right, already cut open train.
Rock dead. One more green.
I don't see him.
Tell him on me.
I'm backing up.
Goes on new already.
I got self.
Nice do one.
Push him
I'll
out.
pick
Left,
up right.
I'll pick up right.
I'm in through you got bathrooms? Alright.
Bathroom, dead, got him.
Maniac, one shot left, bro.
Ill, not peeking.
Hitting left.
He's in the open crate.
I don't see Maniac.
You passed him.
One already pushed left, already crossed left.
Oh, dude, this guy's got the best
Maniac
timing ever, bro. You know.
He's on new, dead.
God damn.
He's fast.
Right is open now.
Trying to get right.
Simp open.
Left,
Simp open crate. One shot.
Right on me. Right on me.
Bathroom.
I don't have right
Already
anymore.
pushed up
Flash
left.
right.
Hoping
Flash
left.
right.
Dude,
Shouldn't have done
left.
that.
Already deep left.
Did we kill the guy right?
Nope.
Front door weak.
Spawned out.
Hill.
Spawned out,
BZ on time. Backside hill.
Oh,
One
no.
shot hill, bro.
So annoying, bro.
Crazy.
I'm top AC right now, guys.
Close left.
They're all over you, Pierce. They're all over you.
Oh, I
Gotta
know.
go
I
out,
can
man.
get him on time.
One shot.
Ready?
Hill's not peeking.
I can kill him on time.
Front door.
Right.
I'm dead. Another one got me.
Right train,
Hitting
right
side
train,
door.
right
Hitting
train,
side door.
Looking for the guy right train.
I'm waiting for you guys. I'm absolute front door. Front door just killed me. Front door.
Back or
In the
left.
back, Maniac. Maniac's in the back.
Side door.
I'm hitting this one more time.
Front door pushed out. Pushed out dead.
Nice.
I'm naded. Jesus, bro.
Start playing
Dead.
now. Start playing now.
I'll hit it with you. Two front door.
Got me.
One.
Killed me.
Is he side gun?
Already on new.
Got him
right now.
alone.
Already on new.
Nice. I'm
Coming
pinching.
green.
One on new on me.
Pinching all
One on new on me.
Deep
Already
as
on new.
fuck.
Two on new.
They're all
on
gonna
me.
be on new.
Got one more there. Selling him.
And ult on
Duke
me.
new, guys. Selling Duke on new.
I got behind him and knew.
Selling run back. I'm
One
flash.
just crossed to the head glitch, Maniac.
I got
One
one
on
behind.
Selling's on the head glitch. One more's in box already.
Boxes.
Just a real quick check-in with you. The second hardpoint went the exact opposite as it did the first round. Remember, in the first round, Chicago was able to flip and get the majority of that time on the second hill. In this round, Atlanta was able to flip because Chicago had spawns to begin with, so Atlanta was able to flip, and they were able to lock down the majority of those 60 seconds, and that has a lot to do with the game being super close right now. It's a 4-point game, so let's keep that in mind as we hop back into a listen-in and listen to the rest of this hill.
What?
Walker's dead.
Ammonium?
No, they just keep
I got two front. One more. Two more front.
Naded it.
I can hit the head glitch.
They can
I'm
go
going
middle,
down
guys.
hill, bro. I can't see anything.
Yeah.
Got my
Crossing,
glitch.
crossing,
One
He just
pinch.
jumped at me
Super close.
immediately.
Middle.
One pinch screen.
I have time.
Green.
One's on the
dead,
hill,
green
on
dead.
the
Nice
heady,
one.
on the heady. Right
Crossing.
Got it, got it.
Nice. Pierce.
I'm going forest, guys.
One
Already
here.
forced.
One there. One there. BZ.
Hurt.
They got
You want the chow?
Forest, Maniac dead.
He's on you.
Two. There's
He's
two at
lockers.
ult.
Two.
This guy is
Two.
impossible to
Yo,
kill.
middle right now.
Actually, I'm helping.
I got two at ult.
Nice, good shit, bro.
I have old.
An open crate.
Just a real quick synopsis on that final hole. Remember, I said the first time around that the third hill, it didn't really matter which side you were spawning on, but you want to be in warehouse. And the reason why you wanted to be in warehouse is because what we just saw right there. So Chicago had control of the hill, but they were able to push out into Cole a little bit. So because of that, they were able to lock down the vast majority of that time in the third hard point. So again, doesn't matter which side you're coming from, just so that you can advance a little bit further past the hills so you can get kills in those chokes before people are able to counter you and get you out of the hill.
Left dead. Yo, pick up left.
Got it.
Hill, dead. One more that
Nope.
side.
I'm trying to
Already
stay down.
crossed left.
Okay, I'm rotating back.
I need help with time.
Middle
Middle.
two, I have your help.
Ran away to the
Ah,
right.
fuck.
Ran away to
Playing
the
to middle,
right.
playing to middle, I think.
Yeah, there's two. One more mid.
Simp
Middle,
has
behind,
one.
one pipe, two.
Two hit me
If
all.
it's
Three
not
hit me all.
cross
Three
boxes,
hit me all,
yeah.
guys. Three hit me all.
I'm picking up left.
Flash middle.
One left.
Oh, mid hot.
I'm just trying to help me right. Stop focusing middle.
Green. He's green.
Everyone else, I have all of left. Everyone else focus
You
right.
already got to right.
I got
Yeah,
green.
yeah,
I got
yeah,
green.
yeah,
I got
that's
green. I'm
three.
backing up. I'm backing up with time.
You have time.
I'm getting away from the spawn. I'm getting away from here.
Real quick, super astute play right there. I just want to point it out real quick. Seth was guarding that Cole side over there, but when you notice, Seth was guarding over there, formal spawn there. So he wanted to get away from that spawn so that when they push up, when Atlanta pushes up towards Woods, their team's not continuing to spawn over there. So that was a really smart, a really heady play. It's something that you could easily miss there from Seth.
Yep, front door. Front door. Nice, good job.
Holding your front door.
Augie, hold.
I spawned.
Yeah, we
Boxing
spawned.
down, boxing down, boxing down, boxing down.
Coming
I
help.
have your left
I
door.
have your front door. I have your front door. I have your front door.
Remaining front.
Crossing boxes.
Open your left, left, left.
Can't see them.
Crossing boxes.
Front door
Left,
dead.
left again.
BZ got me. Oh
in.
my
Put
god.
it
bro.
in.
Other one there. One more
Left
there.
again, left
One
again,
more
left
there.
again. I spawned you guys are hitting off crates.
Yeah, good
I have
play.
your help. I have your help. I have your help with
You
this.
guys can try to
Don't
walk
want
off.
off.
Yeah,
Into the
I'm
door,
working
into
this
the
team
door.
net.
I'm holding pipes.
We're smoking
inside.
it, bro. I'm stoned.
Bro, these guys are actually.
You can hold
fucking
pipe
weird.
right
Pipes dead. Yeah, I am.
Go in there.
This game.
Now, real quick, as we get towards the end there, you just heard Arcides kind of freak out a little bit there, and he makes a good point. The addition of smokes in this game is going to be really good for search and destroy, but when it comes to Hardpoint, they are super annoying. It seems like every time you're trying to hold down a spawn, or you're trying to push through, or just whenever you're trying to play strategically, there's just smoke all over the map. And I think that kind of detracts from the strategy of this game a little bit. In previous Call of Duties, it seems like if you were the team that rotated early and you were able to get set up, then you had a really good chance of just locking down the vast majority of that time. And in this one, that kind of goes away a little bit. So even if you get set up, the other team can just throw 5 smokes, they can push through your chokes, and then now all of a sudden it's a battle inside the hardpoint. So I don't know what's best. I really do like watching this game, but I did want to go ahead and I wanted to point out what Arcides was talking about there, because I totally understand where it comes from. But with that, guys, you're going to go ahead. You're going to see Chicago get one more point here, and that's going to end up finishing this map. So with that, thank you guys so much for checking out another video. I appreciate it so much. The channel has been supported like crazy lately, and I'm super thankful for all of you guys have been doing. So if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, especially since January 24th weekend. That's the opening weekend of the CDL. You don't want to miss my coverage of that. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you haven't left a like, make sure you do so already. And with that, I will catch you in the next one. We'll see you guys.